Please make sure your microphones are muted.
Okay, my name's Stan Herman. I'm a physician on the International Canadian Group of Physicians for MDA. And we are actually very excited to have this meeting. We are trying to reestablish a training program for the physicians that we've had previously in Israel. And now with all the COVID challenges this year, it's been actually very, very difficult to do. That doesn't mean we have forgotten about anybody or the commitment that the group that we currently has shown to this program. The difference is that we're going to try to do a program in Canada. It's in the second week of November. And it's going to be a very exciting, very exciting program. It's going to consist of a number of different lectures as well as a multi-casualty simulation, which Raphael Herbst will get into. We have been able to find a number of sponsors for this program. I'm not going to give all the sponsors away right now, but just to say thank you to the sponsors that has decreased the cost of this program to probably about $400 for 3 days. That will help cover the expenses of bringing people out here and do the training. I think it's important to note that we are trying to encompass not only physicians in this program, we're also looking at anybody from a healthcare perspective, whether it's nursing background, EMS background. So anybody who's interested from those specialties, we are more than interested to incorporate into our group. And I think it's going to be an incredibly exciting program. And I'd like to thank the Canadian Magen David Adom, the Sydney, Ben Isri in Montreal, and Sam, who's in charge of the Eastern Coast, I want to say Eastern Coast, but East Canada, even though the East Coast in Canada is beautiful to visit now. So without taking any more of my time, with the exception of one other thing I just wanted to mention, there will be a registration site formally coming up. Once we have the registration site set up, we will send out details to people, and we'd like you to invite anybody who you think would be, who would get some benefit from this. All of you know Raphael Herbst. So Raphael is the Canadian representative for Magen David Adom for the Canadian desk here in Canada. He has been instrumental in getting this program up and running. He is a friend of many of ours, and he will be talking in more detail about the program. So Raphael, all the way from
Oh, Stanley just went out.
Okay, then I'll hop in. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for being here with us today. Whose phone is that, Iris?
I'm going to mute myself. Hello? Yes, Magen David?
Iris, I think you need to put yourself on mute. Great. So my name is Raphael. Thank you very much. Iris?
Wow.
Okay, so I'll start again. Thank you very much for being with us today. For those of you who met me already, Magen David Adom, I'm very happy to see you guys here again today. Very excited. The truth is that after the disaster in South Florida, we were thinking of how to strengthen our connection with the Jewish communities around the world. Mainly thinking about preparing for the worst and hoping for the best, but if God forbid anything happens, we want to be able to share our knowledge with other communities around the world, especially from the last incident in Gaza, in Israel, just a few months ago, when we got a small taste of what might happen in Israel in case of escalation from Gaza, and we realized that we were expecting a lot of people to be affected by anything that happens, and God forbid if there's any help that we can receive from physicians, paramedics, medics and nurses from other Jewish communities around the world, or the other way around, if we can assist communities and send our help We think that this is important, and this is the strength of the community, of the global community being strengthened together around the world, and this is our place that we can share our knowledge back. We, up to now, had 3 courses of the international unit in Israel from physicians from Canada, and we realized that now during COVID, it's much more difficult to come to Israel or even to spend a large amount of money for that. So we thought of maybe having the course in Canada, and the big challenge is how do we do it? So I'm gonna do now a screen sharing. And please, I wanna do it the Israeli way. So if you have any questions, any insights, any comments, please interrupt me. We'll do it the Israeli way, and I will feel very comfortable to answer any questions. And I will now do screen sharing. So I hope you can see my screen and hear the sound. So Herschel, can everybody see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, very good.
Okay. So those of you who were not in Magen David Adom before, we have 6 roles according to the law as the Israel's National Emergency Services. So first of all, we're based on volunteers. Around Israel, we have youth volunteers. We have volunteers even from overseas that come a few times a year to volunteer in Israel. Also, the physicians from Canada, every time they hop in and visit Israel, they do shifts, which we're very happy. We do first aid and training, also by law. National Blood Services on Magen David Adom. Of course, we're the emergency national EMS of Israel. And the last 2 important things, we're Israel's Red Cross, Red Crescent National Society. That means that in times of disasters, we can aid other countries or get help. And of course, we're auxiliary to the Israeli Defense Force in times of disasters, such as earthquakes or any escalations from the northern border, southern border. As you know, we're surrounded by unfriendly neighbors all over. As far as operational activities, as you see in Israel, we have a lot of ambulances and medicycles. And the main goal that what we want to do is, first of all, for people to be familiar with our system and the way that we work. So in case anything happens, it's not just learning the protocol, which is something that's, I think is easy, because if you're familiar with the medical field, we can just send the protocol in an email or the WhatsApp. But I think it's more important to know the DNA of the organization, how we work, what are our relation with the reality, how to work during times of escalation, how to work during mass casualty events, how the technology, because every country has its own unique features. For example, I know that in Canada, there are several EMS organizations. The dispatch center, the 911 is not part of the emergency services, where in Israel, the 911 is part of Israel's national emergency services, which changes a lot of the structure and the way that we work. So we're going to talk about that. Just to show you the use of the technology that we're using in Israel, just to be familiar, which will definitely influence our way in times of disasters and the resources. And this is something that we will talk about. So you can be proud of what we do in Magen David Adom. So what is the main goal of the international unit? Again, if anything happens, any mass casualty disasters that we expect a large amount of people who might be wounded or trapped because of an earthquake, because any disasters man-made or any escalations. And as you can see, the pictures that we have below was part of the training that we did at the Home Front Command. By the way, our instructors are very experienced. Myself, I'm a lieutenant colonel in the reserves in the Home Front Command. I'm the head of a battalion that in case of disasters, we're in charge of supporting Magen David Adom with paramedics and medics and whatever way we can in order to treat people who might need any medical help. And as you know, the recent years, we had some few escalations. And I think the last one was different because the last one gave us a taste of what can really happen in times of emergency. And I think that from our experience, we see that anytime something like that happens, people want to come to Israel, people want to know how they can help. And it's important that we can share our knowledge, our lessons learned. And maybe if anybody wants to come to Israel, they're more than happy to join. One of our unique lectures that we saw that from the International Relations Department during the courses that people really enjoyed was an urban search and rescue medicine, which is something that most people are less familiar about. And we have some experience because we know how to work together with the Home Front Command and because we also went to other disasters around the world. This is an example of a building collapse in Tel Aviv 5 years ago, working together with the Home Front Command, how to treat patients while they're still trapped under the rebels, talk about the dilemmas, and how to fit in together with organizations that are in Israel. Because, for example, if we're talking about a massive rocket attack in Israel, or if we're talking about an earthquake, we might have at the same time 11 different places with buildings that are hit with rubble and whatever, and it would probably take a long time before we can transport any patient to a hospital because they're still trapped. So how do we fit in and treat these patients while they're still trapped in? We also have our experience from humanitarian help around the world. This is an example from Haiti when we went to assist them during an earthquake. And I think it's important that if we're going to send any expeditions to any places in the world, we're always happy to have more friends at our international unit that can assist us from around the world. This is an example of a training that we did, I think 3 or 4 years ago in Israel. A group of physicians from France and from Canada that came to see a lecturer at the synagogue. And the whole idea of the training, and this is what I'm bringing as an example, is that we believe in hands-on, because today we understand that we can do the lectures through Zoom. And the whole idea is how to bring the field into the classroom and give people some dilemma. Just to show you a short video of how some of the trainings look like. So the synagogue in Ashdod, you can see we brought a rabbi to talk to the group of the physicians, and they had no idea that this is not a real lecture. And the rabbi started talking in Yiddish. Which I assume that most of the people didn't understand what he was talking about, and you could see people are bored. And after 2 minutes, all of a sudden we told everybody that this is not a real lecture, and actually we have a massive casualty drill underneath the synagogue at the hall over there. And we just threw everybody inside the drill after what we learned the whole week, and to see if people can manage, treat patients by surprise, without any medical equipment whatsoever, trying to bring the reality inside the classroom. And you can see people are walking inside the hall, and they're all surprised. They didn't imagine that we can have such a drill inside the classroom. And then we told everyone, okay, how do we work together? How do we treat patients? What are the dilemmas that we have? And I think we had a lot of great lessons learned from that event. And by the way, all the participants over here are physicians from Canada and from France, very well experienced. And you can see that they're very uncomfortable with the scene because they were all caught by surprise. And I think that was a good success for us in order that we managed to bring the reality inside the classroom, which I think this is a big challenge. And even though we're going overseas, I think that we have some few experiences in how to to do the hands-on protocol with the massive casualty incidents. And I think this is why this makes it very interesting. Yes, any questions? And this is a proposed schedule, the itinerary that we want to propose. We might have some few changes according to people comments or how many people are going to sign up. But the first day we're going to talk about MDA during disasters and preparedness measures. We're going to talk about the challenges of massive casualty MCIs. We're going to talk about the MADA protocol in PHTLS. I don't think there's a lot of differences, but again, in times of extreme situations, what are the protocols? How do we work together in MADA with the paramedics, with the physicians? What kind of medical equipment and what kind of drugs do we use? And we're gonna do some hands-on training. We're gonna talk about treating in disaster zones, which I think is very interesting. And then again, we're gonna have workstations treating the single victim from other protocols. That will also be the hands-on training. And the last session for that day, we're gonna talk about triage. And I think this is one of the most complicated things because when our needs are more than our abilities, we're gonna have to take difficult decisions. Who do we treat first? Who are we gonna transport first to the hospital? Which hospitals are we gonna transport the patients? The further hospitals, the near hospitals. And we're also gonna have a small drill with that. The next day, we're gonna do mini MCI drills, meaning from 3 to 6, maybe 7 patients. Start talking about the dilemmas of a small incident, but not the big ones. We're going to talk about the principles of the massive casualty incident management, the Israeli protocol. We're going to do some tabletop drills. And I think the last thing, which might be very interesting because probably most of you haven't done that before, is urban search and rescue medicine by the instructors of Magen David Adom and Home Front Command, which I think are pretty much experts at that field. The following day, we're going to do some drills, needs assessment drills, and we're going to summarize by having 2 MCI drills, trying to implement all the dilemmas that we got for the last 3 days. And of course, summing up and certificates. And this is it. If there's any questions that you want to ask, if there's anything important that you might suggest that we should add in. Of course, we are very open to change and to do things according to what might make you feel comfortable. At the end of the day, our goal is to share with you knowledge from our lessons learned. It doesn't have to be something to be implemented in Jewish communities because there are different features, different other things. And the second goal is to make you feel comfortable working with the Israeli protocols. And of course, if there is anything new that you guys haven't dealt with before, this is also our chance to share our knowledge. And I think that's interesting. And I'm always happy to work with the communities and physicians, especially from Canada. So are there any comments, any questions? I'll be more than happy to answer.
I've got a question. Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Claudia. I work for UJA Community Security with the UJA Federation of Greater Toronto. And a big part of what I do here is training and managing a large group of volunteers who give their time to secure the community in many different roles. And I think that this would be a fantastic opportunity to get them involved. We don't want to step on your toes, but if you need volunteers to add to the scenarios that you have planned, if you would like to create an atmosphere with community members with whatever you have planned, we would love to put forward our community volunteers who are trained in security, and it would benefit them as well to be a part of that exercise.
So I will divide my answer into 2 parts. So first of all, thank you very much. We'll be more than happy if you can be involved. And I think that would be amazing. Secondly, it depends on the level of the training of the people who are involved, if they're physicians or paramedics or just security personnel with some kind of a medical background. We can also have a special program for these people, not just to bring them as part of the drills. And the nice part is that we can afterwards, part of the drill, do it according to your local security protocol and implement our insights, lessons learned, and maybe do something together. And I think it could be great from our experiences with other communities around the world. So we'll be more than happy. And if you want to do a joint or even a separate session just with the UGA and then combine just at the drills that we're going to, some writing drills, I think that will be fantastic.
Great. We would love to do that. So maybe we can speak offline, and Stan, maybe you can be involved in that conversation as well. Thank you very much.
It will be our pleasure.
I have a question. My name is Ralph Foreman or Raphael Foreman. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course. I think you have
and I'm calling from Toronto, Canada, but I've had experience both with the IDF, and I'm a retired pediatrician, but I was a battalion MD in the Tank Corps and Armored Corps in the past. Is the aim of this to be able to mount a response to any catastrophe happening in Canada, or is it for the entire world? Where would people that are going to be in this training program, where would they anticipate using their training?
So, first of all, I think just the knowledge, I think is an important goal. Secondly, when I started the training with the international unit, I thought this is something nice to have and that we will never use. But two big things happened over the last 2 years. First of all, COVID, which science fiction, imaginary and above, beyond imagination happened. And we understand that catastrophes can happen that we cannot imagine. And secondly, the last escalation in Gaza, which was different than the other escalations, we understood that we in Israel have a problem, because in a few days we can get thousands of rockets, and we might face a big challenge that we're going to need help from other countries. And we're pretty much aware of it, and I don't know if you know, but 40% of MDA personnel will be recruited into other army units. That means that MDA will need definitely medical help. I don't know to say how much, because it will all depend on the scenario. Every time there's a disaster in other places in the world and we're asked to help, a lot of times, even now in southern Florida, we're considering maybe to try and send physicians from Northern America. Unfortunately, there weren't enough people that we can help, because most of the people were trapped over there, and there was not much that we can do. But definitely, this is something that if MDA needs to send and help to anywhere in the world, you might even have to ask people to help us. For an example, sending medical help from Israel to the States can be a problem, because not everybody's certified to work in the States. So, and if we can use physicians that have license to work in other places, it can definitely a big help to Jewish communities around the world, which I think is important. Specifically for Canada, Canada is a big country, and I'm not so sure to say how much we can help or if we will be able to help. So that wouldn't be the goal. But if any way we can help people know what to do in an extreme situation, that will be worth it.
Hi, it's me, Rafield. I'm just going to add something to it. So when we originally set out with this goal, not for this program, but the international unit of the physicians, It was to help Israel when they require help under difficult circumstances. However, this has morphed into the fact that we are now seeing an increased number of anti-Semitic incidences in the Jewish communities in North America. And our biggest concern is that we may actually have a multi-casualty event here in Toronto, being the largest Jewish community in Canada. And part of it is I've been working with Claudia at the UJA, and we're trying to get an ability of the Jewish community to respond. And part of the direction that we'd ultimately like to take is we'd like to also support here within the GTA programs such as Hatzalah, and train them to deal with multi-casualty experiences which they do not get currently in their training. So that should an incident in the Jewish community happen, whether it's here, whether it's Montreal, we can have those discussions at another time. But certainly we would have a group of people who would be able to respond to the incident site and provide help and support both the the Toronto EMS, police, fire, whoever needs the help. And we have the experience and the training in order to do this efficiently. And that's, I think, a very important goal of what we're doing as well.
Thank you, Stan.
Can I just say hello, Raphael. Hello, everybody. My name is Jovi. This is Charla. I think in an attempt to try to gather more and more people into this program, Stanley, is it possible to set this up, this 3-day, it seems quite substantive and can be set up in a way that it's like a conference, so that if Raphael and the other speakers submit what they're going to be speaking about, etc., maybe someone like Dr. Barry Pakes, who's got a very strong association with University of Toronto CME, can connect this whole thing together. And then if that was the case, you'd get probably so many more doctors that would be interested in this and could be advertised as a bona fide CME. We'd get a lot more interest and a lot more people.
Yeah, so the simple answer to that is yes, I'm trying to get it recognized as a conference.
Excellent. Thank you.
I hope it works out. Thank you.
So I think that this is a great opportunity for us to work with some of the people in the area of search and rescue and disaster casualty management. We are hoping to bring some very, very, very experienced people from Israel who've had a lot of experience both training around the world, training different teams, both from the military and EMS systems into this, as well as rescue teams. So I think that the caliber of people that we're going to get for this conference is incredibly high, with experience that most people don't have anywhere in the world. So I think that it's very exciting, and I'm really, really looking forward to having this program initiated in November. And more details will come out. If anybody has questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. You can get my email. I can give you my email if you want. The simplest one is just Herman, Herman 12 @rogers.com. That's probably the easiest email to get hold of me on, and I would be very happy to answer questions, or if anybody has any ideas about other topics they want to present, I can get them off to Israel, to Raphael. And so I really want to thank everybody for attending tonight. I know it's always difficult during the week. It seems to be more and more difficult as time goes on, but I just wanted to thank everybody for taking the time out to join us. And it's been an absolute pleasure again. It's been an absolute pleasure again to see everybody, because it's been a long time. And I hope to hear from all of you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stan, and thank you, Raphael, for staying up. And thank you to everybody. I could tell you that Sean and I have been on 3 of the missions so far, and for MDA to come to us. It's a real honor and very special because, you know, it's not easy to get this kind of training anywhere, and especially on your own turf. Usually it's quite a trip going over there, and you know, it could be quite expensive, and here they're coming to us. So I think it's something that we could really spread the word to all our friends and coworkers and colleagues. And this is extremely topical. It's exciting and relevant. And
maybe sooner than later, we should do like, we should do a save the date. So people will know that this is happening, that, you know, CME credits pending, these are the dates and some of the highlights that the Rafael listed, or even the itinerary, even if it changes, doesn't matter, but just so that we can get it out so people will reserve the date, book their offices off, not book any other conferences. And you know, if we have like a one pager, we can send it out to people that we know and just kind of get them, you know, aware.
So this is, I'm just gonna mention something. My name is Sidney Benizri. I'm the national director at Canadian Magen David Adom. I just want to mention that we're gonna be working on in the website soon. You're gonna have all the information about the program, about the registration form. So this is something that we're gonna be working on in the next few days, and it will be updated. And also what we can suggest you is to be in touch also with your local office. I know especially in Toronto, you have a lot of doctors here from Toronto, so you can be in touch with our office in Toronto with Herschel and Iris. In Montreal, you know, we have Samuel Moyal, and Sam will be, he's the one who will be in charge of the communication and making sure that in our website we have all the information there. And we have also in Western Canada, we have Sharon also for Western Canada. So I think there is a good potential here. We are very happy that we can connect, you know, and bring paramedic and bring Rafael and this team, you know, from Israel to be able to be here with us and to do this first, if I can say, this first doctor training. The fact that we had COVID, unfortunately, we didn't have a chance, you know, to send to have a training in Israel, but let's bring MDA to, you know, to Canada, to Toronto, and try to have a good program here, hoping that that everything will work out. So we are very happy that we are able, you know, to present to you this this program, and I hope that we can have at a certain point, maybe in the next couple of weeks, maybe another info session and to update you about the advancement of this program. So I just would like to thank you for, you know, for being part of this presentation, and to thank, you know, all the doctors and all the team of CMDA. I just want to turn the mic to Stan, or if someone wants to say something.
I think people are sick of me talking already. I think other people can say something. Anyway, if nobody has questions, thank you again for attending. So the question came up of whether or not they can only attend parts of it, and can we Zoom part of it? I think that's something that we can take back and discuss about recording and putting it onto Zoom. I'll have those conversations with Sam and Raphael and Sydney and Herschel, and hopefully we will be able to figure out a way that everybody can attend, even if they can't attend in person. So I think that's something that we consider.
I just want to say something about it. I think the main idea of this training, that we're bringing people from Israel, because we want to do hands-on, because otherwise the instructors would have stayed in Israel, would have done the whole course by Zoom, and if we do that, then that means that we failed. If we don't do drills and we don't let people feel with their hands and their legs the dilemmas, then I think the whole purpose of this seminar will be gone to waste. So I don't know if how many people want to watch it in Zoom, but the whole idea is that we're going to do hands-on. And I hope that the lectures will be less and more that we could experience the field in the classroom.
It's Herschel here from Toronto. I just want to say one thing from a logistical perspective. There will be some people that are attending from out of town. I can tell you that Iris from our Toronto office is looking into to hotels that are near the Bayet. We're going to see if we can get a rate. So if anybody has any of those concerns and they think there are doctors from out of town that would like to attend for those few days, we will be in touch with the hotel and try and get back to everybody with a better rate. Okay, great.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good sleep, Raphael.
Have a good evening. Laila Tov, Rafael.
Laila Tov.
Lila Tov.
Laila Tov.
Bye.